I wish I had a Pugeot, but those are hard to get in, super rare and not great. So all these other things. So, and the reason is because I love to do comparison videos and kind of show you, instead of just telling you, showing you as well. So this is not a Pugeot, this is an AX15, and this is out of a 1990 or 91. This is definitely a 90 because it was a carbureted. The 91s would have been fuel injected. So that's kind of a giveaway as far as the motor goes. But 9091 AX15s are a little unique. So they built, just give you a little history on an AX15. It stands for AX15 Transmission. That's what the AX is. And the 15 is just the series. They had an AX5 and an AX15. The AX15 was for the 6-cylinder. The AX5s were for the 4-cylinder. Okay. The 9091 is a little bit unique because it's input shaft, which you cannot see here, but I do have one listed and I could show you that. It's basically the tip of the input shaft is small diameter. I don't remember the exact measurement, but that will go right into your existing crank on your 4.2 from 87 all the way up to the 91. That makes this swap very easy to do. We prefer to use this if we have the choice. If we don't, you can use a later one. It just takes a little bit more effort to do them, okay? This one is set up just like an early one is with an internal slave. I usually do recommend, if we have the parts, and right now bell housings are a little hard to get, to convert it to an external slave. I'll touch on that here in just a minute on what that is. And really this is kind of a cool video. It's gonna be a real neat video because be able to really illustrate why that's a pain in the butt to have internal versus external. And that came out in 94. So the cool thing about Jeeps, if you don't already know, is they're like Legos. So pretty much every single thing you can do to these things, minus aftermarket stuff, you know, within reason, I suppose, is bolt on. All right, they literally, you know, snap together kind of thing. So, all right, 87 to 89 is your Pugeot years. Those are what we call the BA10s, and they weren't necessarily a bad transmission. They actually, I've seen a lot of miles out of a lot of those. There's kind of mixed reviews. The problem with BA10s is that they were short run. They were a Pugeot, which is a French, I believe, transmission. AMC had some stuff to do with them. Ironically, Fiat now owns Jeep, and they are in kind of cohorts with Pugeot still. So it's kind of full circle, but at the time it wasn't. It was kind of on their way out. And they're good when they lasted, but when they go bad, becomes an issue. First off, it's extremely difficult to find somebody to rebuild one and stand behind it. If you find somebody that will rebuild it, better look reviews up, because usually a rebuilt Pugeot is a paperweight. They're next to impossible to rebuild, partly because the difficulty, but also because finding parts is next to impossible. We get them in, not very common. I would say 1 or 2, maybe good ones every year or so. They just began to get really hard. Basically, you got to find a Jeep with low mileage to find a good one. And these things are at that age where there's just not a lot of low mileage ones out there. So, okay. AX15s came out again in 90. They were produced from 1990 all the way up to 1999. We won't get into the transmission that replaced them, but if you want to know, yes, you can bolt all the way up to an 06 transmission. They went to an MB 3550 and then eventually a 6-speed NSG 370, and those will bolt to the pattern that you have on that block. To do the later swaps, they do require a little bit more. The MB 3550 is pretty straightforward. It looks almost identical to this guy. The NSG would be a little bit of a challenge, but it's definitely doable. You're not gaining much on that one because the 6th gear, which everybody thinks you're getting a 6th gear, is actually what we call a 1-to-1. So 5th gear in this thing and a 6th gear in that is the 1-to-1. That's advantage. It's got a real low 1st gear. So, all right. Anyway, I don't want to get into those because it's already enough information. So this is the conversion, what we would call, and it's missing. So of the conversion, what you would receive from us is, of course, the bell housing. Okay, that's this guy. That goes from, basically adapts your engine to your transmission. Okay, so that, and there's a dust shield in here. You'll get that. You get all the hardware, which is really nice because those are slightly different. And you get, of course, the transmission, which actually bolts to the bell housing right here, all the way back. Okay, and then you're going to get the shift tower, of course. And then you're going to get the 9091 if we use this one, which we would. And by the way, if you're interested, and you know, this is a Jeep, like a forever Jeep, I happen to have a rebuilt one, like literally brand new. We didn't even do it, we bought it. Advanced Adapters did a few of those a few years ago. We spent a little bit more than we're even asking for right now, but it definitely a little more expensive. But if you're keeping the Jeep, might be worth it. I drove this Jeep, and other than it being a little low compression, this thing ran and drove. We picked it up here locally and whatnot, and we'll get it. We'll steam clean it, so it'll be nice and clean. We don't have any rust out here. You get a little oxidation of the metal and stuff, but there's no salt out here, so our stuff doesn't rust. Man, you can see the frame here, and I don't know where you guys are located, but everybody. But anyway, I know that doesn't tell you a lot, but I can tell you when I steam clean this, that's all factory paint, and it will show up pretty crazy. So, okay, so you'll get that transfer case, shifter, and then of course your linkage that goes down here, and that linkage arm connects to a T-case, which I don't have handy at the moment. But essentially that's just, so essentially if you're looking at this as a conversion for your vehicle, this here to here, if you're doing an AX15 swap, is different. The transfer case is the same transfer case. We actually include a transfer case. It is the same, but it's different. And the difference is an AX15 has a 23 spline right there, okay? This is 23 splines. And a Pugeot, a BA10 is 21 spline. Now, to give you a little reference, an AX5, which is the little brother of this one, remember, only goes to 4 cylinders. Those are 21 splines. So you can kind of see some of the issues that Peugeots had. They were inherently weak behind that motor, and that's part of the reason they stopped using them. Okay, so you get the 23 spline, you get the 23 spline transfer case, and the linkage that goes to it. We send you the mount underneath because that is slightly different. The cross member is the same. So everything will bolt together, and then we'll send you drive shafts as well. And that's because this is slightly longer, and it's just kind of a good thing to have. So you get every single thing you need, down from the hardware all the way back to the transfer case and your drive shafts, shifters, everything else. Okay, there's nothing else electronically. Your Jeep does not, and this is a question I get a lot, it's totally good question, but your Jeep does not know what transmission it has in it when it comes to a manual. Automatics, not all of them, especially the early ones, those were torque flights, and those didn't really know either, but later ones started to get a little electronic and they would know. So, okay, so your Jeep's not going to know the difference. You're going to have a much better ride quality, you should have some better fuel mileage. Not that Peugeots were terrible, especially in the beginning. They weren't bad, but as they get miles on them, they start wearing odd. So, okay. And if you're wondering about some of these parts, yes, the shift tower is different than your Pugeot. Again, this is all included. And then this guy here is going to look similar than yours, but this is different. So we do include this as well. So I just want to be very clear what to expect and whatnot. And thank you, babe. It's going to help out a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly touch on the external slave. That's something my wife's been wanting me to do for a while because she understands it, but it's a little confusing. So this is set up for internal, and you can tell because you have hard lines that go in. There's a slave inside, okay, and then here's your bleeder here. And then you also have your master cylinder up on your firewall, okay? And on your Pugeot, it's gonna look identical to that. It'll be slightly different bell housing. Look past that. We're just looking at the lines, okay? So this is where I really, really, really encourage people. It does cost a little bit more, and I don't even know if I have a bell housing right now because they've been so hard to get for an AX15 external. Remember, this is an internal. And the difference is the bell housing is identical, but the internal one, instead of having this little rubber grommet here, it has 2 studs, okay? And this is why it's so cool. So we send it with a new clutch. If you end up with that kit, you get a new clutch, loop clutch, you get a flywheel, new flywheel, and you get a pre-bled, and that's key, pre-bled, because those are a total pain in the butt to bleed, this style, especially in aftermarket ones. They're kind of a joke. That doesn't matter if it's Pugeot or if it's AX15, they're all junk, especially the aftermarket. So, and you'll just fight them. So now here's the deal. If a internal slave cylinder, which is inside of this bell housing, riding on the input shaft, engaging the pressure plate of your clutch as you go in and out of gears and push the clutch in. If that goes bad, okay, there's only one way to change it. You have to unbolt your entire bell housing, move your transmission, remove your transfer case, drop everything out, okay, of the vehicle, put a new one on, bolt it all back up, bleed it again, and cross your fingers that it works. And then cross your fingers that it holds, because I can't tell you how many times that I explain these to people, and I totally get it. It sounds, it's like a sales pitch. Like, is he selling me something? And yes, I am. I'm definitely selling you something, but I am selling this for your sanity, okay? It is 100% worth it. But just keep in mind on this particular one, right now, I do not know if I have a bell housing. I can get one. I'm not worried about it, but I know we're out of them right now, so. And that changes. We get in and out of those all the time. So we used to sell these, just up until last week, we were selling the bell housing just itself separately, but we are going to stop doing that because we're not able to fulfill our external slave kits. So and just so you know, the 1990, 1991, 92, and 93 AX15s were all internal slaves. So if you happen to have an external slave on one of those years, and you know for sure it's one of those years, it has been converted, okay? And that conversion consists of a bell housing that's external slave. Everything else back here is exactly the same, so nothing's going to change there. Okay, you're going to get a slide fork. We're going to give you a bearing retainer that's going to go on the front of the transmission. In this case, we would send it out with it. Okay, we're going to give you, again, the flywheel, the clutch, and then that bearing, throwout bearing, it's called. Not even it's different, right? That's going to come with that clutch kit, that new clutch kit, okay? And then that fixed external slave is going to mount here, okay? When you get it, you'll mount it here. And then that's going to go up. You'll mount it to your firewall, hook it up to your pedal. And then it's got two plastic clips, and you'll see what I'm talking about, that are inside of here. And when you engage that pedal the first time, they snap. And that's it. No bleeding them. Matter of fact, do not open those because they're pre-bled, okay? And you are done. That's it. One and done, okay? So that's the kit minus the transfer case. I have a photo of that if you want. It's no big deal. I have those listed. No big deal. Okay, and if you're interested in a rebuilt one, and this video is geared just so everybody's on the same page. Let me fall on our sword here. Wasn't necessarily me. This is my company. We sold a BA10. Somebody added a BA10 to my inventory. One of my guys, thinking that we had it in a 1990 Jeep out here. She was not aware that 90s were still were no longer BA10s, that they had gone to AX15s by then. So, and when she brought it up to me and said it sold, I remember thinking, I don't think we have one of those, but I may be wrong. Now, ironically, I have two of them right now for Cherokees. They are different though, and I don't have all the pieces. You'd almost have to do a conversion just to get a Cherokee one to fit into a YJ. Their Glock slightly different on the back, okay, and the shifter's different, and I don't have a shifter, so I really can't even go down that road with you right now. So, and for those of you who know, so I'm making this video kind of to show them, show this family, and then I'm also making it for everybody else who's called me over the years. I've been doing this for 18 years, a long time, and I don't know why. I do a lot of videos, a lot of comparison videos, and this is the first time that I've done that kit before, but I've never really shown it in this behind the engine and shown you these kind of, intricate pieces and how this all bolts together, because I think it does kind of seem foreign language sometimes. So I got to get going because I got 2 more videos to make, and as you can tell, the sun is basically gone tonight. So I will give you guys a shout here once this uploads. I'll text it to you, and then I'll give you a call, or I'll call you first and let you know I'm going to do that. And then if anybody else out there is interested and has a BA10 or Pugeot, they're the same thing, and wanting to get rid of it, or has to get rid of it, or doesn't have an option but has to get rid of it that way, that's your option, okay? And we can provide you with everything, and we have excellent reviews. Google us, you'll see, Facebook, all that stuff, and then we stand behind everything. Everything's got a 90-day warranty, which is from the day of install. It's a gentleman's handshake kind of thing. We trust you as you trust us. Okay, so it just means that if it takes you a month to put the thing in, if it takes you 6 months, man, I had I delivered one to Oklahoma. I personally delivered it actually when I was down there about 8 months ago. About 3 weeks ago, a guy called me and said, I just got it in. Okay, no problem. No discount, and I haven't heard from him, so, you know, hopefully everything's good. But anyway, so, all right. And then that rebuilt one has got a 1 year on it. And I can give you pricing on that one if you're interested. But okay, these are the next videos I'm doing. My name is Jeremy, 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. Jeeps Unlimited is our legacy name. We are here in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I just noticed my lens is a little blurry, so I apologize if that video is blurry, but hope you have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot.